1. In nuclear training e-learning, which principle best supports adult learners' need for autonomy in controlling their learning process? A. Providing rigid instructor-led sessions. B. Allowing self-paced modules with flexible navigation. C. Restricting access to supplementary materials. D. Enforcing uniform completion times. 2. When designing nuclear e-learning modules, which evaluation method most effectively measures long-term retention of regulatory safety standards? A. End of module multiple choice quiz. B. Immediate post-lecture surveys. C. Delayed scenario-based assessments. D. Peer-to-peer discussion boards. 3. A nuclear training mentor notices that a trainee is struggling with interpreting digital reactor schematics. What is the most effective mentoring strategy? A. Assign the trainee additional independent reading. B. Walk through the schematic step by step with real examples. C. Provide the trainee with multiple choice drills only. D. Refer the trainee to another instructor without explanation. 4. Which curriculum development approach ensures compliance with NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission requirements in e-learning? Aligning objectives directly with regulatory standards. B. Relying solely on industry best practices without regulation. C. Emphasizing historical case studies only. D. Allowing learners to select their own objectives. 5. In nuclear safety e-learning, the use of branching scenarios is primarily intended to A. Entertain learners with optional content. Allow learners to explore the consequences of decisions. C. Eliminate the need for formal assessments. D. Replace regulatory audits. 6. What is the most effective evaluation method to validate that operators can apply emergency response protocols learned online? A. Multiple choice quizzes on terminology. B. Timed matching exercises. C. Virtual simulations requiring decision-making under pressure. D. Short answer essays on theory. 7. When teaching adult learners about complex reactor physics, which instructional strategy aligns with adult learning principles? A. Delivering lengthy, text-heavy presentations. B. Incorporating problem-solving based on real incidents. C. Relying solely on memorization drills. D. Providing abstract theory without context. 8. Which communication technique best supports understanding in an e-learning module on nuclear incident reporting? A. Using technical jargon without explanation. B. Providing plain language summaries with glossaries. C. Replacing text with long video lectures. D. Offering minimal context for key procedures. 9. In curriculum development for nuclear training, formative assessments are best used to A. Provide final certification. B. Identify learner gaps during the learning process. C. Replace summative evaluations. D. Avoid regulatory oversight. 10. A nuclear training mentor wants to encourage reflective practice among learners. Which method is most effective? A. Assigning mandatory memorization drills. B. Using guided journaling on decision-making processes. C. Requiring only end-of-course surveys. D. Delivering information in one-way lectures. 11. Which evaluation tool best measures a trainee's ability to apply NRC-mandated safety protocols in a real-world scenario? A. Likert scale attitude surveys. B. Hands-on performance assessments in simulations. C. Written multiple-choice exam. D. Instructor self-reflection. 12. What is the most effective way to ensure regulatory compliance in e-learning assessments for nuclear operators? A. Randomizing quiz questions without review. B. Aligning test questions directly with NRC competency standards. C. Allowing learners to skip testing requirements. D. Outsourcing assessments to non-certified providers. 13. Which adult learning principle is emphasized when learners in nuclear training are asked to solve case-based incidents? A. Need for repetition. B. Relevance to real-life experience. C. Dependence on instructor authority. D. Focus on rote memorization. 14. When designing feedback mechanisms for nuclear e-learning, the most effective strategy is to A. Provide immediate, specific corrective feedback. B. Delay feedback until course completion. C. Use only generic positive reinforcement. D. Avoid feedback to maintain learner independence. 15. Which mentoring technique fosters the development of critical thinking in nuclear trainees? A. Providing all answers directly. B. Asking probing questions during scenario reviews. C. Requiring memorization of reactor specifications. D. Avoiding follow-up discussions. 16. What is the primary role of summative evaluation in nuclear e-learning programs? A. Continuous improvement of teaching strategies. B. Certification of competency against standards. C. Identifying gaps during training sessions. D. Gathering informal learner opinions. 17. In the context of nuclear e-learning, microlearning modules are particularly effective for A. Delivering comprehensive theoretical background in one session. B. Reinforcing small, critical safety tasks in short bursts. C. Replacing entire certification programs. D. Avoiding regulatory audit trails. 18. Which curriculum development step ensures content remains aligned with changing nuclear safety regulations? A. One-time course design with no updates. B. Ongoing curriculum review and revision. C. Excluding updates until the next audit. D. Allowing learners to submit unverified content. 19. Which evaluation method best tests communication effectiveness in a nuclear emergency response scenario? A. Written multiple choice exam. B. Real-time role-play simulation. C. True-false quiz on terminology. D. Recorded lecture reviews. 20. Adult learners in nuclear training value. A. Immediate applicability of learning to their work. B. Passive listening without participation. C. Memorization without context. D. Rigid learning pathways with no flexibility. 21. Which of the following best promotes knowledge transfer in nuclear e-learning? A. Instructor monologues on theory. B. Interactive simulations of reactor scenarios. C. Memorization of long lists of terms. D. Text-heavy slides with no visuals. 22. To ensure e-learning meets regulatory compliance, records of learner progress should be A. Stored in a secure, auditable system. B. Deleted after training completion. C. Maintained informally by the instructor. D. Ignored unless specifically requested. 23. Which communication strategy is most effective when mentoring nuclear trainees online? A. Providing timely, constructive feedback in discussions. E. Delivering content without interaction. C. Using technical jargon exclusively. D. Avoiding direct learner engagement. 24. In developing nuclear e-learning assessments, scenario-based testing is superior to traditional multiple choice when the goal is to A. Measure factual recall only. B. Assess application of procedures under stress. C. Simplify grading requirements. D. Shorten training time. 25. Which principle of adult learning is demonstrated when nuclear training content allows learners to choose case studies relevant to their role? A. self-directed learning. B. Passive absorption. C. Instructor dependency. D. Repetitive drilling. 26. Which mentoring strategy best supports trainees preparing for nuclear compliance audits? A. Assigning practice audits with debriefing sessions. E. Relying only on self-study manuals. C. Avoiding role play or mock scenarios. D. Providing answers without context. 27. Which type of evaluation ensures that nuclear e-learning aligns with organizational training goals? A. Summative evaluation. B. Kirkpatrick Level 4 results evaluation. C. Formative self-check quizzes. D. Informal instructor feedback. 28. Which communication principle supports clarity when teaching nuclear safety terminology to new operators? A. Use of plain language with technical precision. B. Exclusive reliance on acronyms. C. Lengthy, unstructured lectures. D. Minimizing definitions to reduce time. 29. In nuclear e-learning, adaptive learning technology is most effective because it A. Provides identical content to all learners. B. Adjusts instruction based on learner performance. C. Eliminates the need for instructors. D. Avoids compliance documentation. 30. Which adult learning strategy is best suited for reinforcing radiation safety procedures? A. Frequent scenario-based drills tied to real cases. B. Memorizing unrelated safety codes. C. Passive lecture without practice. D. Restricting practice until final assessment.